Hey, I'm Vanessa. It's nice to meet you.
It's nice to meet you as well, Vanessa. I'm Laura.
You were sent here for a little session in reality therapy, correct?
Yeah, I guess so.
So, what's going on with you?
Well, like I told you, I've been clean for almost 5 years now, and I don't really have so many problems with, thinking about doing drugs again. Because when I do, I just flash back to what it was like when I was out on the street and broke and starving, eating out of garbage cans. Those are all good reminders to keep you clean, but my daily thing I deal with, been dealing with a lot of depression and fatigue from, well, they told me it was from hepatitis C, which I probably got when I was doing drugs.
Yeah. Well, what would you like to have happen here today as we talk?
I don't know, maybe figure out where I'm at and maybe give me a path to go forward on.
Okay. What's the big thing in your life? I think you said you kind of feel depressed at times.
Yeah, I'm having problems with depression. I haven't worked in like 8 years.
Well, that was my question. How do you know you are depressed?
It takes me like 4 or 5 hours to get out of bed just to do anything. It took me since noon to get in the shower at 6 to get out here by 8. And I guess that's fatigue along with the depression, but it seems like they are intertwined.
Sure.
So some days I'll feel good physically, I won't hurt. I have arthritis and degenerative joint disease. It won't hurt, and I'll feel good physically. And if I've been depressed, I'll just feel, it'll take me forever to get going. I go out to Hines, Virginia like twice a week, and I'm on methadone maintenance program out there, and I see a good psychiatrist and a good psychologist.
So you are under care already, and I get a sense your medical needs are taken care of.
Pretty much, yeah.
Sounds like it.
Yeah, I go outside the VA for my arthritis because they don't want to treat me because I was an addict. They had a problem with giving an addict a new hip replacement. They wanted to give me a hip fusion. They didn't think I was worth giving a new hip to.
Yeah? You were in the military?
Yep, I was in the Marine Corps for 3 years.
Were you? Where were you?
I was in Camp Lejeune and Kio Bay, Hawaii, and then Triple Army Hospital in Oakland.
So you were quite a number of places.
Yep.
But the main thing now is that what you were telling me is that you're kind of feeling down in the dumps during the day, not working, you said?
Yeah, I haven't worked in a long time.
How long?
An actual job, has got to be at least 8 years. Even when I was living on the street or when I was bouncing between one friend or another, couldn't keep a job or work to save my life, to keep me in food, If I couldn't do it then,
So where do you live now?
My brother and I, well, we bought a condo. My father helps us out with a loan.
Is he working?
My father just retired.
How about your brother?
My younger brother, he's a mechanic at a car dealership.
And that's who you live with?
Right.
Okay, he's not married?
Nope.
Okay, and how old are you?
43.
Right.
And see, I've got an older brother who teaches and coaches. I'm the second, and I have a sister who's younger. She's got a family and was a housewife, and now she's going to college because the kids are growing up. And then there's my younger brother, and he's a mechanic at a dealership.
So you know you're depressed because you don't get up and do things and work, and you're not active. Is that the idea?
It's real hard to explain, If you don't do these things, you're depressed, but when I wake up, I got nothing to look forward to, I wake up and I just turn the TV on.
Now that will do it. Not having something to look forward to kind of helps you to be depressed.
There's a lot of stuff I can do, but once I do it, I got nothing else to do. And I started volunteering out at the VA. Got to a point where I couldn't even do that anymore, and that felt good. I did like 140 hours the year before last. But then they canceled the program where I was volunteering. It was a workshop for psych and drug rehab patients. I used to go in there and help out the guys, talk to them and tell them what it's like being sober and how I got off the drugs and stuff, and that helped me out a lot. That made me feel sort of useful.
Hard to be depressed when you're doing that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, because I got to look at some of the guys who are going through what I went through, and it was hell back then, and it made me feel good where I was at. It made me feel better being able to tell these guys, how hard it was getting to the point where I was at that time.
So this is interesting, though. Laura, you say that there were times that you weren't depressed?
Yeah, sometimes.
And you were doing something.
Right.
You had relationships with people?
Yep.
When you were talking to them in kind of a group and you felt like you were helping them.
Yeah, I did. But, the flip side to that was the next day I would come, I'd be home, I'd stay in bed the whole next day because of pain.
Physical pain?
Right.
What do the doctors say now about the physical pain? Do they say you can't get out and do things?
He said I can do as much as I can do, but, I had an addiction. My addiction was painkillers and cocaine. So, well, the cocaine was gone, but the painkillers, he had to put me on methadone because there's no way for me to up my dosage. And I've come from 100 milligrams down to only 70. And
So you are getting monitored on that, and you're doing some self-monitoring?
they don't need to go down as much as I want to until I feel uncomfortable, and that's where I stay.
I mean, if your brother were sitting here, would your brother say that you are not abusing any drugs? Or would he say, oh yeah, he's still abusing drugs?
Oh no, he'd say I'm doing great.
He would say you are doing great as far as the drugs go.
Right, drugs and alcohol.
So you came here hoping maybe this guy's got a little idea about a path. I think you used the word path.
Right, something I could put in my head that would, make it easier for me to get up and get going, Maybe a direction that I could travel because my psychiatrist passes it on to my psychologist, and he has a hell of a time just trying to keep me in check out at the VA because these people, the way they treat the veterans out there is awful.
Is it?
Yeah, they refused to treat me. Well, when they did want to treat me, they wanted to give me a hip fusion. They wanted to cripple me. I had to go to an outside hospital, and I was a service-connected disabled veteran going to an outside hospital just to get a hip replacement.
So you took charge of that situation?
Pretty much, yeah.
When you took charge of that, did that do anything for you inside? I mean, as far as...
It made me angry as hell that they wouldn't do it.
Yeah, but I mean, when you took the charge, that would be when they didn't do anything for you.
Right.
When you took charge of it.
It made me feel great that I was getting this done, and I felt like throwing it back in their face, and I did, I sent them bills for the operations.
And then you felt angry and...
I'm very hostile, very hostile.
You weren't depressed at that time, were you?
No, depression turned to anger, and pain turned to anger.
So it is possible to leave a little bit of that depression behind. You did it when you went and gave those talks. You did it when you took charge of your operation.
Right, I guess. If you focus on something else, it is possible to get around it, but that's the trick.
Maybe that's the kind of way to think about it, is how we do get around it. Not how we are going to get rid of it, but how we're going to get around it.
Yeah, well, chemical therapy only goes so far, I have to put it in my head that I'm going to get up and I'm going to do these things, Like, I don't really go for grand scale type projects.
Well, you made the decision to give up drugs.
I sure did.
You made the decision to go to this group and do that for the other recovering people.
Right.
You made the decision to take charge of your operation and to say, to heck with the VA. You even made the decision to get angry at them.
Oh, yeah.
So now what kind of decisions could you continue to make? I mean, you're on a path here.
That's where, it gets confusing for me,
I mean, the decision to stay in bed. Decision to take 6 hours to take a shower. What about those decisions?
Well, I didn't just sit there for 6 hours. I was trying to get a power washer run, and I was thinking about it.
I understand, but
I was sweaty and hot, and I had to take a shower.
Well, it's a good time.
But it's not like I just sit there and stare at the ceiling when I do these things. I'm doing stuff, but it's like there's a blank. I'm just doing these things to do them.
You said you wake up and you don't have anything to look forward to?
I really don't.
What would you like to wake up to look forward to?
I'd like to have a nice bank account so I could wake up and do what I want to do.
Okay.
But I can't afford to do that because I'm on a small disability payment.
Sure.
I'd like to go out and work, but I can't. I'm lucky if I can do something for myself for 2 or 3 hours a day.
You can't work at all?
Because of this fatigue I have terrible fatigue, and I've got severe degenerative joint disease. Yeah, I go see a surgeon every year to check on whether I need a hip. I need a shoulder operation. I need 2 feet operations. I'm just putting them off.
Well, until you get them, I mean.
After I get them, it's not going to be any better.
Well, okay, let's talk about until that happens. It just seems to me you've got a pathway here.
Yeah, taking care of myself.
And the pathway is those action kind of things that you describe, which satisfies something inside of you.
Yeah, taking care of myself and doing the right thing. That satisfies me. That makes me feel good.
You said you wanted to have a job. Did you say that?
I said I'd like to have something to do. I'd never hold a job. I could never hold a job.
Well, not yet.
No.
Never?
Who would hire me taking 70 milligrams of methadone a day? I take 300 milligrams of Zyban and 100 milligrams of Elavil.
You've got 1,000 reasons for not getting a job.
Well, who would hire me?
Well, I don't know.
I couldn't even get a job at McDonald's.
Would you be the first person who ever took this medicine?
No.
No. I want to ask you this. Do you think this way pretty much? I mean, these are the kind of thoughts you have whenever a job comes up. Who would hire me? I mean, those are the kind of thoughts that pretty much take up your time.
Well, I don't think about getting a job per se. I try and help my father out when he calls. I do little projects out there, and I'll do a project for him, like we're hanging these lattice strips in his basement. It's the crisscross type board stuff, and I do 4 hours work there, and then I'd still be in bed the whole next day with pain.
Still?
Yeah, oh yeah, that's the problem. If it's not the fatigue.
Well, maybe 4 hours is too long.
Yeah, but then I'm in bed the whole next day. What kind of job could I have where I go 4 hours a day and then take 2 days off?
Those are part-time jobs.
Yeah, I take a part-time job.
Those are volunteer type jobs.
That's all I'm limited to, volunteer.
When you are doing these things, I don't want to talk you into something, but when you do these things, do you feel any better inside?
Yes, I do, because I was able to do something that I couldn't do the day before. And if that's the only kind of gratification I get for the rest of my days, I just got to find a way to live with that and make myself feel content with that.
You made the decision and let drugs go.
Very hard. It was more painful using than it isn't.
Yeah, but you made that decision.
Yeah, I did. After 25 years of using, it took me a while.
It's a heck of a decision. You proud of it?
Very much.
Darn right.
They say 1 in 100 makes it, and I've seen...
Well, let me ask you this. When you look in the mirror, what do you see? Do you see 1 in 100 that makes it?
Not all the time, no. I'm proud of myself that I had the ability and the courage to stop using and to stop drinking because it's very easy for me to go out and do the stuff. I gave up all the people I knew, and I live in that neighborhood still. I just moved back to it, and I still don't go by these people because I know 5 years clean ain't nothing. If you have that itch and you're right there, you're going to use it.
But you are 1 in 100.
When I'm not using, yeah, but it only takes a second to get back into that situation where where you are in a situation. You got money in your pockets, you got free time on your hands, you got nobody looking over your shoulder, and you're with the wrong people. That's a situation where you're putting yourself in harm's way to use.
Sure. You work the program?
I tried the first 2 or 3 years. I tried.
How about now?
Nah, I used after the first year and 2 months. I used. So I stopped going to the program about 6 months after that, and I've been clean since. What these people talking about, I have a hard time with that. The program is great for a lot of people. It didn't help me. I feel very uncomfortable socializing.
Well, it takes a little while, doesn't it?
These people talk about their last bang and how good it was and this and that, and I go back to that mindset and I think about the good times I had, and these people are talking about it, and it's all in my head, but it's not. By not going to those, I don't think about it. And if I don't think about it, it doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother me, and chances are I won't go and look for it.
So you're not using now?
Nope. Not drinking, not using. I still get urine tested and whenever my counselor wants. No, I could think of a lot of things I could do, but using it ain't one of them anymore. I don't care what goes wrong, that?
So now it's a matter of kind of moving to the next level of recovery, isn't it? Going down that pathway another step?
Yeah, I guess you could say that.
And when you do things, which we talked about before, you're taking those steps, helping your dad.
Yeah.
Maybe not 4 hours a day, maybe 2 hours a day.
Psychologically, that really helps me, yes.
Really?
Yeah, and when I do that, when I'm helpful to others, I feel good. When I can help other people or when I can do something to help myself, I feel good.
In recovery, that's called productive living, doing something productive.
Yeah.
Maybe you're ready now for something for that next big step, because recovery isn't just either or. You either use drugs or don't.
Right.
So the pathway is like one of the obstacles is feeling depressed.
Yeah, it is. Depressed, fatigued, because it seems like those two intertwine.
Well, yeah, sure they do.
If you're fatigued, you're going to get depressed and vice versa.
Well, depression is like a behavior, and it takes a lot of energy to be depressed.
Yeah, it does.
You get tired when you're depressing.
I isolate myself. I don't want to talk to anybody. I always used to like being alone, but I've brought it to new heights now.
Are you alone most of the time, like when your brother's out working?
My brother goes out and he works from 3 o'clock to 2 o'clock in the morning.
Oh.
So he comes home at 2 o'clock in the morning and wants to talk to me. I don't want nothing to do with it.
It's a little late.
So I wake him up at noon and he doesn't want to have anything to do with me, so we don't socialize.
So that's another thing I think we could talk about is relationships.
Yeah.
Is he the one that's the primary person in your life as far as relationships?
Yeah, he's the closest to me. I've got one good friend, but he lives in Wisconsin.
That's a little far.
Yeah, but he comes down once a month or so when we go out target shooting and stuff like that.
Is he a veteran?
Yep, sure is.
Anybody nearby?
No, nobody that I respect enough to be around or feel comfortable with, no.
Must be kind of lonely.
It is, but then since I've been clean, I've started building bridges back with my family, and they've all seen the work I've put into staying clean. And they are beginning to, they trust me now, and they respect me somewhat. So I can go, talk to them, hang around with the kids, babysit for a couple hours and stuff like that.
So you got a new pathway, and you've gotten some hints here that you've come up with about what's on the pathway. How hard would you like to work at going down this pathway, this new kind of life that might be open to you?
I would like to take it slow. I'm not going to knock myself out with doing anything anymore. My surgeon,
You mean you want to get over the depression slowly or quickly?
well, I'll tell you the truth. Some days you have it and some days you don't. It's a very troubling illness.
Well, how hard do you want to work at making those days feel fewer?
I think I've been working pretty hard at it. I take my medicine on time. I try and create projects, get me out of my room, and it's a hard illness to get away from.
Sure it is.
And I don't think anyone has one definitive answer of how to stop it. If they did, they'd make millions, But I would like to be able to work through it sometimes when I feel terrible. Just to be able to, smile on a day like that would be an accomplishment.
Really? Maybe you could look in the mirror and say, I'm 1 in 100.
Yeah, I could do that.
Yeah, you could do that. Can you do that when you're depressed?
I don't, but yeah, I could. I don't think of those things.
I'd like to suggest you do it even if you don't believe it. Say it.
I believe it.
There may be days when you doubt it.
No, I know.
So you believe it even on the bad days?
I know how hard it is for drug addicts to stop using and alcoholics to stop drinking.
This could be a big step, though, is to start doing something like that when you wake up in the morning.
I never.
People think this is trivial. This is not trivial.
No, it's not. Thank you. I've never thought about telling myself that.